Podcast with Masingita. Masingita yayina. Podcast with Masingita. Tango Bafet, welcome to another episode right here on Talk with Masingita. And this is your boy Masingita Yayina. And this is the podcast with Masingita Yayina. And Bafet, first and first, thank you so much for your support. And let's do this. Let's make sure that we subscribe and also ensure that the notification bell is also activated. Wow, it's been crazy. It's been happening. There's a lot of events that have been taking place from different places out there, and we are really happy that people are pushing. I mean, since COVID-19, restrictions being lowered, everything is going accordingly. There's a lot of events out there, and I'm so happy for the event organizers, people that are making sure that we distress, making sure that we meet different people out there and make sure things are happening. Big up to you guys, big up to you guys, big up to you guys. You're doing a wonderful job, and I'm happy that you are making sure then that events do happen. There's a lot of events out there that are happening now, and let's show supports. Let's make sure then that we actually buy the correct tickets. We don't buy other tickets that don't even make sense, because I know there was an event of this TV Delicious whereby there was a complaint from one of the guys or one of the promoters saying that there's people who are buying fake tickets, and then when they come through to the gates they get chased away, or even not allowed to get in the entrance, to get in the event rather. So, but yeah, guys, thank you so much. Let's keep on supporting those events. So what I want us to talk about, guys, I want us to talk about there's a lot, but what triggered into my mind is that I'm looking at what is currently happening in terms of our economy. Our economy, we look at the issue of the rand against the dollar. We've seen that there's some issues there, performance wise, and I'm looking at as a result, there's a lot of things that are happening in terms of employment. There's a lot of companies that are closing down, but there's still other opportunities out there in terms of business. And I was having a conversation with this other particular individual that he's got a friend who's educated, highly educated, degrees and all that, but the problem now starts with the person being choosy in terms of employment. So what I wanted us to look into, guys, is that in life you start somewhere. As much as, yes, you are educated, you've got degrees, you've got certificates, but at the end of the day, I think we need to appreciate the fact that we need to start somewhere in life. And how does that work? Yes, you are, while you are studying, you are having that picture that I want to be an engineer, I want to be a chartered accountant, I want to be an IT specialist. But unfortunately, things won't work according to your will. So what does this mean, guys, is that whatever opportunity that you grab, that even if you didn't study, even if you didn't start for whatever opportunity that comes into your way, take it, grab it. I always say you start somewhere, because at the end of the day, while you go in there, that's when you start developing yourself. So I think it's high time that as people, we stop being choosy. Yes, you must know your worth. Believe in me, everyone needs to know their worth. But I think for me, it's always better than staying at home and doing nothing, because at the end of the day, remember, certain companies, actually most of the companies out there, what is important to them, it's the experience. And even if you've got the paper, even if you've got the education, but do you have the work experience? Work experience, it doesn't have to be something that you've studied for. So that's one thing that you need to take into account. And remember, in everything that you do, guys, it also adds value into your CV. So now, if you're going to study and then you sit at home and do nothing, so it becomes a disadvantage on your side. But nothing stops you from studying and going to someone's business out there and start working or assisting. I think we need to start having this spirit of volunteering. I know sometimes the circumstances don't allow us to do that, because we need to feed ourselves, we need to take care of ourselves, we need to feed our families as well. But I think what I'm trying to say here is that you start somewhere. You start somewhere. Whether you become a cleaner, whether you wash that car, you start somewhere. And while you're starting somewhere, what is very important as well is that you network as much as possible. You network as much as possible. You talk to people. Nothing stops you. If you become a cleaner, you talk to someone who's up there and say, but how did it all started? And you'll be surprised when you hear those stories to say, if a person says, I started from a cleaner, and then I was studying, part-time, and after this, I've applied for this, I've applied for that. Yes, it might sound as if, it's too good to be true, but all I'm saying is that you start somewhere, because at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that you get something. And you won't be getting something if you don't start somewhere. I know there's a lot of friends of mine who are educated, but they are working jobs that they didn't even study for. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that we need to start taking into account. Because at the end of the day, it's not easy to get what you are looking for. You understand? But at the end of the day, it's easy, to try something, but knowing very well that you've got a vision, you know what is it that you've started for. And remember, guys, as time goes by, as much as you've dedicated yourself to say, I want to be a specialist on 1, 2, 3, you also outgrow certain things in life. You also, those things, they become, irrelevant, So that's how careers work at the end of the day. So that's what I'm saying. You've started for certain thing, but you end up doing certain thing. You understand? So that's why it's very important then that we need to start looking at all the opportunities that are there. We've seen that as much as we always say we want to grow our township economy, we know that some of the people who are in business in the township, they are struggling with their books. If you've studied accounting, nothing stops you from going to, Mzwake's a general dealer and say, Mzwake, can I assist you with 1, 2, 3? I'm just making an example with Mzwake because I know Mzwake is one of the guys that own a tuck shop. So I'm just making an example, but nothing stops you from going, Sispule, can I help you with books? Because remember, guys, at the end of the day, if you then do that, that can also add on your CV, because remember, some of the companies out there, guys, they become, charmed by what you've done while you're waiting for employment. How does it work? Because they can see that, so besides you getting, employed, earning a salary, but you were doing something about it, you were doing something about your education. So then that's when, remember what it's important, when whatever you're studying, it's very important that you put it in practical. So how do you put it in practical? If you've studied accounting, for example, nothing stops you from going to those shops and assist them with their books and assist them in terms of making sure then how do they classify their liabilities, their income and expenses, and making sure that they do understand, because there's a lot that happens in the business, guys. And as far as bookings are concerned, it's very important that our people also understand it, because there's a lot of opportunities out there, but the mere fact that your books, they are not aligned accordingly, then you end up not getting what you are actually looking for. And remember, guys, working or doing business that is informal, it doesn't mean that you can't even drive your favorite car, you can't even buy your properties, you can't even buy whatever it is that you're looking for. As long as your books are making sense, as long as you do things according to the book, as long as you make sure then that you also understand that this is my profit, this is my expense, and this is my income. So that is very important. But remember, guys, that can only be shown on your income statement. Then we are able to say, okay, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Masingita, you are able to qualify 1, 2, 3. So that's why I'm saying, guys, in the meantime, while you are waiting for your dream job, but start doing something. Start doing something at your location where you're coming from. Start doing something, because at the end of the day, that will always add value. People who are in business, people who are hiring out there, they are interested on those things, because they ask themselves that, what value will you add into my business if I hire you? And the value that you're adding is that even if there's no payment, but even if there's no salary, but you can still work. Sometimes you've got to put in the hours, making sure that obviously whatever you put in there, at the end of the day, it will, come to to a point where it starts paying. But at the end of the day, it's all about patience. It's all about making sure that at least you put in the work and then you see the results after. And there's certain companies that can only pay you what they can afford. But if you put in the work, that can also change. So that's what I'm saying, guys. My message for you today is that let's look into what is currently happening. Yes, you've started to be an engineer. You've got 10 degrees out there. But what are you doing about it? You understand? But nothing stops you from starting as a junior or from starting from level 1. And then once you are in there, then you start, upgrading yourself. Because at the end of the day, guys, unfortunately, this is how the world works. No one is going to hire you because you've studied 1, 2, 3. You understand? But people out there, business people, what they're interested on is that while you were studying, when you completed your studies, what are the things that you've done? You understand? It's your work experience that counts at the end of the day. So if your work experience doesn't, appear on your CV, it's done. You understand? It's done. So those are the things, guys, we need to start looking into. As much as then, yes, you've got all the certificates, nothing stops you from going to businesses and assist. You understand? You go there. I talked about assisting with books, but I talked about if you studied something that has to do with leading people, you can even go there and assist them with leadership. You understand? Nothing stops. There's a lot of potential in young people out there, but it's all about marketing yourself. It's all about making sure that you position yourself with certain business people or businesses around your hood or even out of your hood. But it's all about what I'm trying to say here, guys. Let's have that spirit of volunteering, having it in our mind that look, it's not something that I didn't. It's not something that I studied for, but it's something that can add value to my CV. It's something that can prepare me for my next level. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being part of the show. And let's do this, guys. And if you've got something that you feel that someone out there who's not, working, but they are capable of doing 1, 2, 3, give them an opportunity, because at the end of the day, that can add value in terms of their CV. And this is what I'm currently doing with one of the guys who does my video editing. He told me now, it's my hobby, and I'm willing to assist you with this. And look, give me a time, give me an opportunity, and it's adding to his CV. Because at the end of the day, remember, guys, this podcast is growing. And the only way that this podcast will grow, it's only you if you then subscribe, if you share the content, if you watch the content. That's when then we will grow it, and to a point then that we will also start paying people. That's simple like that. You get what I'm saying? So those are the things that, guys, we need to start thinking about. It's not to say if you've got a degree and you and you're working a job that doesn't require a degree, that doesn't mean that you are dumb or you are otherwise. No, guys, it's all about starting somewhere. My message from myself to you guys is that have a will to start somewhere. Have a will to start from the beginning. I know sometimes it's not easy to downgrade, from driving a German car to be driving a Japanese car. I'm just making an example. But at some point in life, you just need to, start from scratch and rebuild yourself. And you'll see things will start happening. Remember, one thing that you need to understand, guys, we're not in competition. Number one, we're not in competition. But what we're saying, we are all in a race. Whoever arrives first, that's fine for them. But at the end of the day, what we're saying is that what is it that we've done to make sure then that we also, finish the race that we started. So my message, guys, is that willing to start from scratch, and whatever opportunities that you get, utilize them. There's a lot of opportunities out there, Kasi, from cleaning, from doing those books I was telling you about, from even selling. Nothing stops you. There's ladies and gentlemen out there who are doing this network business. Put yourself out there. It's part of your CV. You've worked for that company. You've sell for them. So those are the things that, guys, I wanted to talk to you about, is that willing to start from all over and grow with it. It doesn't matter whether you've got 10 degrees, but unfortunately, if you can't find a job, lower your standards, start from scratch, and keep on pushing. Bafethu, as I've said, thank you so much again for watching. Let's talk again right here on Talk with Masingita. This is your boy Masingita. Danko, peace.